Like most cars of Japanese origin, this model has a rather weak paintwork. Because of this, the body is quickly covered with chips and scratches. As for the corrosion resistance of the body, there are complaints about it. The fact is that after 4 or 5 years of operation, bugs appear on the body. Most often, the tailgate suffers, and you should also carefully inspect the thresholds, door edges and roof. You should not count on the good condition of the chrome body elements, but you should not blame the manufacturer for this, as this is the merit of our public utilities, which generously sprinkle the roads with reagents in winter. The mechanism responsible for lowering raising the spare wheel often jams, therefore, when inspecting the car, be sure to check its performance. Initially, Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2 was equipped with 2 power units, diesel 3.2 160 horsepower and gasoline 3.0 220 horsepower. In 2010, the outdated diesel engine was replaced by a more modern and economical DID power unit with a volume of 2.5 liters, 178 horsepower. All engines are quite reliable but not eternal, therefore, over time they require certain investments. Of the most common shortcomings of the 3.2 engine, owners note problems with the turbocharger. Even on cars with low mileage, an extraneous sound appears, oil starts to drive. Another common drawback is the delamination of the rubber layer of the crankshaft pulley. If the problem is not diagnosed in the early stages, this will lead to abrasion of the front of the engine up to the through hole through which engine oil will begin to flow. To fix the problem, you will have to pay about $1,000 USD. The motor is equipped with a timing chain drive. With proper and timely maintenance of the motor, the chain will last up to 300,000 kilometers. The 2.5 engine is equipped with a timing belt drive. The official service recommends replacing belt and rollers every 90,000 kilometers, but operating experience has shown that this procedure is best done every 60,000–70,000 kilometers. The fact is that it is during this run that signs of wear of the balancing shaft bell cracks appear. Among the shortcomings of the power unit, it can be noted: a small resource of the rear crankshaft oil seal on average of 60,000 kilometers. Also, the owners note the increased noise of the viscose coupling of the engine cooling fan, manifested by a whistle in the cold season. This ailment is a design feature and does not require urgent repair. This engine is prone to overheating, so many craftsmen equipped their cars with an additional cooling fan. Also, to avoid overheating, it is necessary to clean the radiator at each maintenance. On some instances over time, cracks appear in the cylinder block or block head. Fortunately, the problem is not widespread and does not occur often. The main reason is engine overheating. But oil smudges from under the gasket between the block and the head are a more common occurrence on cars with a mileage of more than 100,000 kilometers. Both diesel engines are demanding on fuel quality, and if you refuel with low-quality diesel fuel, replacing nozzles and high-pressure fuel pumps will not take long. Usually problems begin after 100,000 kilometers. Among the common shortcomings of a gasoline engine, problems with the intake manifold can be noted. Cheering appears during engine operation in the range of 1,800 to 1,000 RPM. Fortunately, the problem is not widespread, but if this trouble does happen, you will have to change the collector, and this pleasure is not cheap, about $1,000 plus work. The gasoline engine is equipped with a timing belt drive to avoid serious trouble, belt breakage. The belts and rollers must be changed at least once every 60,000 kilometers. Depending on the type of engine, the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2 is equipped with one of 3 gearboxes, 5-speed mechanics installed in tandem with the power units 3.2 and 2.5, 4 with engine 3.2 and 5-speed automatic with diesel power unit 2.5 and petrol 3.0. The mechanics proven to be the most reliable. The clutch under medium loads lasts quite a long time, 100–120,000 kilometers, but if the car is constantly used in off-road mode, clutch replacement may be required even after 60,000 kilometers. There are no complaints about the performance of the 4-speed automatic. And here, a more modern automatic transmission can present surprises in the form of ECU failures. Glitches are found only on diesel copies. Also, poor cooling of the transmission can be attributed to the disadvantages, which often leads to overheating during prolonged movement under load. When driving off-road, take into account the fact that when overheated, the transmission goes into emergency mode. Movement is only possible in second gear. To correct this shortcoming, many owners install an additional transmission oil cooler. When installing a second radiator, one must take into account the fact that in winter there is a high probability of hypothermia of the automatic transmission fluid. The all-wheel drive system is reliable and practically does not cause trouble, but only if it is used regularly. If, for a long time, the four-wheel drive is not used, the mechanics become soured, which entails the inability to turn on many models. Also, to increase the resource of the all-wheel drive system, do not forget about the need to inject the swivel joints of the cardan shafts. On the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2, the first years of production, the weak point of the coupling shaft were connecting the front right axle shaft. Long slippage must be avoided. The Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2 suspension has an impressive margin of safety and under average loads requires attention no more than once every 100–120,000 kilometers. On most cars with a mileage of more than 100,000 kilometers, you can find a slight body roll to the left side. This problem is a special specificity of painting. Among the shortcomings of the chassis, a small resource of many steering elements can be noted. The weakest point is the steering rack, which can start knocking at a mileage of less than 50,000 kilometers. Often, the steering column is also the cause of knocks. When contacting the service, dealers pour a special liquid into the assembly, after which knocks appear less frequently. Also, many services offer to replace the knocking column with a new one, but there is no guarantee that it will not knock after 20,000 kilometers. The worst thing that can happen in the steering is the biting of the steering shaft hinge. The steering wheel stops rotating. I am glad that such cases do not happen often. This defect can be detected at an early stage. The appearance of additional efforts when turning the steering wheel will be a cause of concern. Most of the interior trim elements of the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport 2 are made of hard plastic, which quickly becomes covered with scratches and over the years fills the interior with an unpleasant creak. If we talk about the reliability of electrical equipment, then the owners of cars with 6 airbags experience the most problems. The computer gives a system malfunction error. The reason is the weak contacts connecting the control unit. Not famous for reliability, an airbag plume mounted on the steering wheel. The problem is manifested by a crunch when turning the steering wheel. Over time, the ethers begins to creak at the bottom of the steering column near the floor. To get rid of the annoying squeak, just lubricate the boot. If you are the owner of this car model, please describe the problems that you had to face during the operation of the car. Perhaps it is your review that will help readers of our site when choosing a car.